Hi everybody. I hope all of you are doing good. So let's look at this chapter today. Okay, you might have come across all these terms, right? Cost price, mark price, discount, selling price, profit, loss, discount percentage, profit percentage, loss percentage, and all these terms. And this gets covered in a single chapter. Mostly, you might have noticed. So let's understand these terms first before we get into the actual problems. Okay, how we are going to do how these terms are used in real life by businesses. If you look at it, everything has to do with prices over here, discounts, percentages, and everything. So let's look at how this plays out in the real life. Okay, so for example, I'll take an example of, you have a factory, right? You have a shop owner, and then you have a customer. The shop owner can be selling it in the shop, or he or she may be selling it online also, right? So what happens basically in the background? Where do we get this term cost price? If you look at it, right, a shop owner needs to maintain inventory. Inventory, when you talk about inventory, right? Inventory in the shop. This is nothing but he needs to purchase goods and display them in his shop to sell, right? For customers, right? What does he do? Where does he get this inventory? Where does he get these goods from? He gets it from the factory. Okay, the shopkeeper first gets those goods from the factory at a wholesale price, right? There is something called wholesale price and there is something called a retail price. Wholesale and retail. You need to understand these two terms well so that you'll be able to map to these terms. What do you mean wholesale? A shopkeeper will always buy, say for example, 100 shirts at one time. The factory is going to sell 100 or thousands of shirts to the shop owner, right? But what do you understand by retail? Retail is people like us, the customers going and buying from the shop. Okay, so the shopkeeper buys them in bulk. That's why it is known as wholesale. He gets it from the factory, and as a customer, right, I can go and buy 1, 2, 3, 4 objects, 4 or 5 objects maximum from the shop owner. That's what is known as retail. Okay, so hope this is clear till now. Now let's go into the prices now, how it plays out. So when the shop guy buys it from factory, right? He buys from factory. What is it known as? Right? For the factory, it is selling price. Right? For the shopkeeper, it is cost price. He is buying that product to basically put it in his shop and sell it to consumers later down the line. Right? So the shopkeeper basically pays a cost to procure those goods and put it in his shop. That's why we call it as a cost price. So the cost price applies to the shopkeeper, and since the factory is selling those items to the shop, it is known as selling price for him. Now what happens? Now we will do away with factory now. We don't have to worry about the factory at this point of time. Okay, now let's get into more details around all these prices. So the shopkeeper buys it from the factory, and that is known as the cost price. Once he gets those goods, right, he will mark the prices on those products to be sold further. Mark the prices, which is known as the marked price. Okay, now what he does is that he decides that there will be certain discounts which he wants to offer. He wants to offer some discounts to. Why do they offer discounts, the shopkeepers? Basically, those when they offer discounts to customers, right, they are luring the customers to come into their shop to to buy products from them. So it is a marketing gimmick which they use. Basically, the shopkeepers use that one. So they are going to give some discounts. So what happens? Once they give the discount, right, on the mark price, the discount is always applied on the mark price. Discount is always applied on the mark price. Remember that. Now, once they calculate the discount on the mark price, they are going to sell that product. So that is known as selling price. So selling price is always mark price minus discount. You might have seen this formula, right? Where does this formula come from? This is how it comes from. Okay, once we have all these things, once the discount is sorted out, once the selling price is identified, now what happens? Now we need to look at these two items. If you look at these two items, right, what happens? When does a shopkeeper make a profit? When does a shopkeeper make a profit? The shopkeeper will make profit only if his selling price is greater than cost price. Whatever price he has bought it initially from the factory, he needs to sell it for more than that price. Then only a profit will happen. And when a loss happens, simple, a loss will always happen when the cost price is greater than selling price, right? So if he has bought a product for 100 rupees and he's selling it for 80 rupees, right, he's making a loss. So in a normal scenario, what happens is that none of the businesses make losses. Remember this one always. They will play out, they will always play out the numbers in such a way that they are always going to make profit. Remember that always. For example, I'll just take a quick example. How do they do it? Suppose the cost price for the shopkeeper is 1,000 rupees. He has spent 1,000 rupees on one product to put it on display on his shop. So he may mark that one for 1,200 rupees. Okay, he'll up the cost by 200 rupees and he'll put it in his shop. On that, he may offer a discount of say 10%. Okay, so if 10%, now if you want to calculate the discount amount, how much amount discount he is giving, it will be 10% of the mark price, right, which is equal to 10 by 100 into 1,200. Look at it. So he is giving a discount of 120 rupees. So what does his selling price come out to be? Selling price will be 1,200, your mark price minus the discount price. Sorry. 120. Okay, which is equal to 1080. So if you look at it, his selling price was 1,000. He's selling at 1,080. So he's in turn what he's doing is making a profit, which is calculated by SP minus CP. SP is 1080 minus 1,000, which is 80. And what is the profit percent he's making? How do you calculate the profit percent? Profit percent is nothing but profit by cost price. Always remember, when you're calculating the percentage, right, you always need to take the initial price, none of the prices which are there in between. It's always against the original price. So his profit percent will be, if you look at it, it will be 80 divided by 1,000, which is the cost price, into 100. So if you see, he is making a 8% profit on that product by selling that one. Okay. So I hope the terms are very clear, right? Of all those prices, what we spoke about, of all the discount percentages, profit, loss and everything. So let's look at the formulas, what we have come. Let's summarize the formulas. Your profit, your first, what we'll do is that we'll do the discount. How do you calculate the discount? Discount amount, remember. How do you calculate the discount amount? Discount amount is always calculated by discount percentage of mark price. Remember always, it is D by 100 times mark price. You get the discount over here, right? Discount amount. Now what is the selling price? Selling price will always be equal to mark price minus that discount amount which we calculated above. Right? You already started with the cost price earlier. You already have the cost price given to you. So you would be able to calculate the profit or loss depending upon which is greater. Right? Which is greater. So if SP is greater than CP, it will be always profit. Remember, profit amount, you are going to get the profit amount. How do you calculate the profit percentage? You calculate the profit percentage by profit amount divided by cost price into 100. Make sense? Right? Now the next one, if CP is greater than SP, that will always lead to a loss amount. So how do you calculate the loss amount? It is loss percentage is equal to loss amount by CP into 100. So remember these things. It's very logical. You don't have to remember a lot of formulas in maths if you understand the logic behind why you're doing that. Let's look at some examples related to this particular topic, right? So here it says the CP of 10 articles is equal to the selling price of 9 articles. Find the profit percentage. There is not much information given over here, but you have to make sense of the information what is given and you need to calculate the profit percentages. So you note down what is given. So they are saying cost of 10 articles. Right, that's the only information which is given, is equal to selling price of 9 articles. Okay, I don't know the cost price of the articles over here, nothing is given over here. So what I'm going to do is that the first thing, let the CP of one article is equal to X, right? So therefore CP of 10 articles will be how much? It's 10 times X, which is 10X, right? Now they are saying that the selling price of 9 articles is also equal to the cost price of 10 articles. So therefore, selling price of 9 articles will also be equal to 10X with the condition which they have given. Right? So now what can I do over here? So I can find out SP of one article. What is the SP, selling price of one article? That will be equal to 10x by 9. Look at it. Okay. And I have the CP of one article. CP of one article is, we have already assumed one article is equal to X. Right? So since they have asked me find the profit percentages, so clearly they are telling me that the selling price is more than the cost price they have given here. So therefore, what will be my profit amount? Profit amount here, I'm going to only consider for one article and calculate the profit amount. It will be applicable to as many articles they sell, right? That's how it is. So it's going to be 10x by 9 minus x, which is nothing but profit is equal to SP minus CP. We know, right? So what are you going to get over here? It will be 10x minus 9x by 9, which is equal to, it will be x by 9. Now, since they asked me to calculate the profit percent, so therefore profit percent will be equal to what? We learned that it will be equal to profit divided by cost price into 100. What did we find the profit amount to be? It was equal to x by 9. So put it like this in the numerator. What is your cost price of one article? It is x, right, into 100, right? So when you basically resolve this, what do you get? You get it as x by 9x into 100. So x gets cancelled because we don't know what is x. Leave it, we are just left. Another interesting example over here. Okay, so they say two boxes cost rupees 1300. First box was sold at a profit of 20% and the other box at a loss of 12%. If the selling price of both boxes is same, find the cost of each box. So they are asking us to calculate the cost of each box, which we don't know. So what we need to do is that we need to tackle this problem in two parts, right? So in the first part, what I'm going to say, let the cost of first box is equal to rupees x, right? So naturally the cost of second box will be 1300 minus x, because both the costs cost 1300. We don't know the individual cost of both the boxes. Okay, in the first case they say that it was sold at a profit of 20%. So they have given the profit percent as 20% over here, and the second box was sold at a loss of 12%. So your loss percent is 12%. Now let's go ahead and tackle. We'll come to this situation later once we find out the selling price, right? So now how do you calculate the selling price of this particular box? Even before going to the selling price, you need to calculate the profit amount. How do you calculate the profit amount? Profit amount will be 20% of x, 20% of the CP, right? So that is 20 by 100 times x. So let's leave it as 20x by 100, right? That's your profit amount. Okay, what will be the selling price of the first box? I'll mark it as 1 over here because it's the first price. Selling price of the first box will be your x. So selling price is nothing, it will be cost price plus profit, because we always know that profit is calculated like this, right? We knew that one. Profit is always SP minus CP. So what did I do? I took the CP over here. So SP will become CP plus profit. So your selling price selling price of the first box is what? X plus 20x by 100, right? When you do this, what do you get? You get 120x by 100. Leave it like that for the time being. Let's go to the second part of the problem. Now here they are saying that they have sold it at a loss of 12%, the second box. How do you calculate the loss amount? Loss amount is again 12% of this amount, 1300 minus x, which is nothing but 12 by 100 times 1300 minus x. Leave it like that. Okay, leave it like that. Now what is your selling price over here? Here the selling price will be equal to cost price minus loss. Yes, that will be the selling price will always be lesser, because how do you calculate loss? Loss is nothing but CP minus SP. Look at it. So if I bring the CP SP this side, because it's minus SP, and take the loss other side, I'm going to get SP is equal to CP minus loss. That is what I'm using over here. So what is my SP2 in this particular case? SP2, it is, what was the cost price? The initial cost price was 1300 minus x minus the loss amount. What do you have? It is 12 times 1300 minus x divided by 100. So when I resolve this one, what do you get? You take the LCM over here, you are going to get 88 times 1300 minus x divided by 100. Okay, you got the SP1 and SP2, right? You got SP1 and SP2. Now as per the condition in the problem, if the selling price of both boxes is same, they both are same. So what you need to do? You need to equate SP1 is equal to SP2. If you do that, what happens? What is your first SP here? And this is number 2. So your SP1 was 120x by 100 is equal to, what was your SP2? It is 88 times 1300 minus x divided by 100. Look at it. So this 100 gets cancelled out. Okay, and what are you left with now? You are left with, if I may use the space, okay, you are left with 120x is equal to, I'll leave it like this, 88 times 1300, okay, minus, it is 88x when I open this, 88x. Right? So when you want to resolve this, bring this one this side, it becomes 208x is equal to 88 times 1300. So your x is equal to 88 times 1300 divided by 208. If I take this here, you got x is equal to 88 times 1300 divided by 208. When you calculate this, right, you get it to be 550. So you got the value of x. What was the value of x? X was the cost of the first box. So your first box costs rupees 550 and your second box was 1300 minus x. So 1300 minus x, this is equal to 1300 minus 550. So it will be 50 and 12 minus 5, it will be 750. Look at it. So that's the answer. So let's look at an interesting example over here. It's to do with a dishonest shopkeeper who basically on a false pretext, right, selling something and making some gain out of it by fooling the customers over here. So what does the problem say? A dishonest shopkeeper professes to sell pulses at his cost price but uses a false weight of 950 grams instead of a kg. Right? When you try to read the problem and understand it, right, what he's saying is that he has bought 1 kg of pulses at some price, and he's saying that I'm going to sell that 1 kg of pulses at the same price. So it is quite but untrue, right? A shopkeeper will never open a shop to sell things at a loss or without making any profit. So you need to understand that. You need to understand this problem in that way and start doing it. So for example, we don't know the cost price of the pulses, right? So what we do is that let's get started with an assumption. So let the cost price of 1000 grams, 1000 grams is 1 kg, right, be rupees X. Okay, that's the cost of 1000 grams. That might have costed him rupees X when he has bought this from the factory to sell it. Now what he says is that the selling price of 950 grams, instead of 1 kg, he is only giving 950 grams to the consumer, right, should also be equal to rupees X because he is selling at the same price. That's what he's. So what happens here? Therefore, you can calculate the cost of 1 gram. Selling price of 1 gram should be equal to how much? Rupees X by 950, right? And if I want to calculate the actual selling price of 1000 grams, what will be the cost? It will be rupees X divided by 950 into 1000. Right? Now if you look at it, now I can equate these two to find the profit, because the cost price of 1000 grams for the shopkeeper is rupees X, and we calculated based on 950 grams and 1000 grams. You get this much. So selling price of 1000 grams is how much? This is the price. So what would be the profit amount? Profit amount profit amount will be equal to selling price minus cost price. So what is the selling price? It is 1000x by 950 minus x. Look at it, the selling price, actual selling price of 1000 gram. If he would have sold 1 kg of it, it would have been this much. Okay, so now when you do this one, what happens? This is nothing but 1000x minus 950x divided by 950. That is what you get, which is equal to 50x divided by 950. Right? 50x divided by 950. Now they asked us to calculate the gain percentage. So what is profit percent? Profit percent is nothing but profit by CP into 100. So what is your profit over here? It is 50x divided by 950 into, what is the CP? This is the profit in the numerator, into divided by CP. So it will be 1 by x, because your CP was x over there, times 100. Right? X gets cancelled. This is 0 gets cancelled. This is 90. So it is 100 by 90. 100 by 90 is nothing but, it should be 5 by 90 percentage. So that's the profit percent. Okay, understood? So problems are very simple over here. You need to just make sense of what is given to you and do it calmly. You need to note down the data, what is given to you, and do it calmly. Okay, so I hope you're liking the content. You're loving the way I'm teaching the topic. So if you have any questions, put it in the comments, where I can read and basically respond to you. But what I would suggest is that practice a lot of problems from your exercises, okay? And I would request you to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to cover all the topics for all the classes starting from class 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to make videos for everything, and I'm going to put it over there. And if you find any challenging problem which you're not able to do yourself, right, put it in the comments. I'm going to solve it for you. Okay, great.